Raise your hand if you've ever felt alone, left out. If you've ever been bullied, keep your hand up and look around. Despite having different stories and our own personal baggage, we all found one thing that we have in common. My name is Shanti Singh, and I'm here today to share how this commonality can not only lead to success, but strength, emotional strength. This is an Indian father, and this is his wife, a French mother. This is what their son looks like. From this picture, can you guess what their daughter looks like? Well, here she is. That's right, she's Chinese, and that girl just so happens to be me. As you can tell, I'm adopted. Adoption is defined as the process of assuming the parenting of another, usually a child, from that person's biological parent. Not only has this been my label all my life, but the stigma surrounding adoption has been the center of how people treat and perceive me. From a very young age, I always felt alone, whether it was at school or home. I never really understood what was wrong with me and why I was given away. Remarks made by my peers, as ignorant as they were, confused me even more. In elementary school, my friend got upset with me and stated, and I quote, "This is why your family abandoned you." In middle school, I got into an argument with my friend. Later, I found out that she told people how much I annoy her, but she can't tell me because she feels bad that I'm adopted. Now, I know this seems like silly kid drama, but being treated differently because of my adoption is what really took a toll on me. However, not only were my peers making me feel like I was less, but even adults who I expect to be mature were insensitive about this topic. Adults who wouldn't believe that I'm my parents' daughter or brother, sister made it very obvious. One day, at 10 years old, I was at a kiosk in the mall, just searching for something to give my cousin for Christmas. Then, the person who runs the kiosk calls my mom over. So instinctively, I turn around as well. Looking at the woman, I see her pointing at me and then narrowing her eye with her finger, essentially mimicking Asian eyes. She begins to laugh while questioning whether or not I am my mom's daughter. The feeling of disgust and confusion infiltrates into every part of my body. What is wrong with me? Why am I always being pointed out? I always found that there was a difference between being inquisitive versus being plain insulting. Actually, the woman at the kiosk made me realize that. As a kid, being pushed into numerous situations where I was put on the spot for being different shattered my confidence. But this talk isn't a sob story. It's about how you have the power to define who you are. No one else. I let these ignorant people make me believe that I was so worthless to the point that not only did my biological parents not want me, but my adopted parents didn't either. I let these people make me believe that I was alone. As I grew older, I began to get some perspective. I realized that my life was so dependent on other people's opinions and that needed to change. So, how did I overcome this? I have 3 steps. The first step is, of course, changing your mindset. Let's reflect back on when we were younger, when we'd come home crying because a bully was picking on us again. I'm not sure about you guys, but during these times, one sentence I frequently heard was, "You are not the problem. The bullies are." So I started applying this mindset. Doing so, I allowed others to feel bad for me and instead began to feel bad for them and their ignorance. One day, my friends, who were well aware of my status, were talking about adoption, comparing it to a regular purchase at the mall or a grocery store, basically implying that an abandoned child is comparable to a random chip bag in the store waiting to be bought. Although, now that I'm thinking about it, chips are pretty great, so maybe it was a compliment. However, they were just implying that adopting a child is equivalent to a casual, spontaneous purchase. I ended up crying because I was having a bad week. But after crying, I reflected on myself. I realized that I didn't feel bad for myself as I would when I was 8 or 12. Instead, I felt bad for them and their ignorance. And I was actually proud that I could teach them the value of adoption. Because let me tell you, it can be such a beautiful thing. As I followed this first step, I realized that the world isn't against me. Hear me out. Sometimes hurtful things can be said without malice. It has nothing to do with your value. It has everything to do with that person and their crudeness. On the flip side, sometimes things can be said with malice, but that still has nothing to do with your value and has everything to do with that person feeling so weak to the point of wanting to bring other people down with them. The second, and what I believe is the most important step, is expanding your identity. Now, what exactly does this mean? Basically, you are what you do. Let's say a person robs a bank numerous times. Then they'll be perceived as a bank robber. However, identities are not static. They fluctuate. So if a person does not want to be perceived as a bank robber anymore, then they shouldn't rob banks, right? Identities make you who you are, not only to the people around you, but also to yourself. And your opinion should be the most important opinion. In my case, I started to focus on my hobbies more. Doing so, I was accepted into a performance troupe for theater and a rock climbing team, which I am now coach of. These hobbies have allowed me to grow myself not only on the exterior, but they also helped me evolve myself internally. I grew more confident and began to see myself as a rock climber, actress, or singer instead of that adopted freak. The third and final step is to surround yourself with good people. This correlates with the phrase that we all know, you become who you surround yourself with. With the help of my family and close friends, I have come to the realization that surrounding yourself with good people means surrounding yourself with positivity. And I wanted to become a more positive person because, believe it or not, positivity plays a vital role in your well-being. These 3 steps have allowed me to grow and flourish in life. Doing so, I became more confident and began to see and seize opportunities. These 3 steps can be applicable to any of your lives, any person's life, and have allowed me to come to the realization that I am more than just an adoption story. I am what I make myself. Thank you.